Welcome to episode 27 of Basics and Beyond the podcast. We have a guest with us today. Her name is Emma. She is a coach who lives in Salt Lake City. I met Emma at the Real Coaches Summit this year, and I was so excited to spend time with her and bring her on the podcast. She has an amazing story of kind of losing her way with health and fitness after being a D1 athlete and then finding that path again. And through that, her story is really one that we hear, particularly with young women, that is very common, but not necessarily what should be normal. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between those two today and dig in and find out more about Emma and how she overcame that time where she was kind of off track. You're going to like this one. You're going to learn a lot today. Come on in, join us for the show. Welcome everyone to Basics and Beyond, the podcast. Episode 27, Emma Kirschner is with us today. So excited to have her here. Sorry, I got a little squeaky. I met Emma at the Real Coaches Summit. Emma is amazing, and it was super fun, Emma, to hang out with you. So I'm so excited to bring you to the audience of Basics and Beyond the podcast. Tell us a little bit about you before we get into all the other stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was really awesome getting to meet you at the Real Coaches Summit and hang out, get some In-N-Out burger. That was super
Yes,
fun.
my first In-N-Out burger.
That was your first In-N-Out
Yeah.
burger?
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, did you see how confused I was? Oh my God, was I confused? Because everyone's like, it's so simple to order because it's really, you just either get a burger or a cheeseburger. And then you all started to use this like In-N-Out burger language. I was very confused. So I don't know that I like really got the full experience because it was very, very confusing at first, but it was fantastic.
Well, I'll hit you up with the secret menu next time so you're more prepared when you
Thank
go.
you. Do you have an
Welcome.
In-N-Out? Where do you live?
So I live in Utah, originally from California, which is where In-N-Out is originally from. So grew up with it. And
Is there
we
one by your
actually,
house?
yes, there was one probably 10 minutes from my house growing up.
How about now?
So now there is one probably 15 minutes away, and they're actually building another one closer by.
So that just means I have to come and visit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we're only a couple hours away.
Yeah, not bad. All right. So tell us about you. Tell us what got you into coaching. Give us your backstory, all the good, all the bad, all the ugly. Let's just get into it.
Sweet. Yeah. So I'm a coach now, but I was actually a software engineer. Um, I was a D1 athlete. I've gone from fat to fit countless times, lost my menstrual cycle for 6 years, gained it back. Have had a variety of gut health issues, struggled with my body image, relationship to food and exercise, basically all the things. Um, and I felt like I went through all those experiences to help other people through them. And a couple years ago, for fun, I went through a nutrition coaching cert while I was working my 9 to 5 because I had more free time, and I spent all my free time listening to podcasts and researching this stuff.
Mhm.
And I really enjoyed it. And I was like, I really want to do this as a job for my just full-time career. And so I slowly started to work on growing my coaching business on the side and do that. And then this past year, the goal was to do it in 5 years or something, just very slowly. And I was like, you know what? I really don't like my 9 to 5 anymore. So I'm gonna try to go all in. And I left my 9 to 5 in January. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Recently. Yeah, good for you. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big smile. If you can't see your big smile because you're not watching her on YouTube, you should be watching us on YouTube. So I have some questions. How did you get your cycle back? I think it's interesting, and I know we're going to talk about like normal versus common things. I think for a female, how old were you when you lost your cycle the first time?
Probably 20 or 21.
Okay. I think for women of a certain age who maybe even in their teens, I think if you're an athlete, it's very common for girls to lose their cycle and no one talks about it. And no
Yep.
one talks about why it's detrimental, No one talks about how you can get it back. And all of a sudden, girls are in their 20s and their 30s and they're having fertility issues. So, can you walk us through a little bit how it happened, right? What was your impetus to be like, oh shit, I need this? And then how did you gain it back?
So I was a D1 athlete, so I was working out like 4 hours a day.
What
And
sport were you in?
water polo.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. So very high intensity kind of workouts daily. And I thought that carbs were bad for me at the time also. So was only eating like very clean, like whole foods, which is good, but I took it too much to an extreme. And so I wasn't eating enough carbs to fuel my activity, probably wasn't eating enough in general.
Okay.
Um, and I went on hormonal birth control.
Oh,
And
at the
my
same time.
yes.
Oh, okay.
And so I got very lean. And the doctor told me, like, hey, you're probably just gonna lose your menstrual cycle and it's totally normal. Don't worry about it.
No,
Yeah, the
that's
doctor told me that.
I think there's some I have this theory. I'm working on a theory that like I feel like the medical establishment is like, women don't need to have kids. I think they're part of that let's depopulate the world thing, right?
I
Goodness.
mean, it could be. Well, she said like, "Oh, you're an athlete. Yeah, you'll probably just lose it and don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Because to me, I'm like, "Great. I hate having to worry about being on my cycle when I'm in the pool and like traveling and oh, what if like I have like a 5 day like tournament and
Mhm.
like it starts in the middle of a game." I'm like, "Oh crap. Like, what if I didn't bring tampons or whatever?" So I was like, "Woohoo." At the time because I didn't know any better. And my doctor told me it was fine.
Which is interesting when we think about common versus normal, right? I feel
Yes.
like that's very common for younger women to hear is so you never heard how detrimental it can be to not have a cycle. You heard this is great. Like, look at all the benefits that you could have from not having a cycle. And of course, being a younger female, I mean, I remember it was like, oh God, can I not have this thing every month? This sucks. Right. So you were like,
Yep.
rock on. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And I was like, sweet, don't have to worry about this anymore. Um, and then just over time, like I started listening to health and fitness podcasts. This is like a couple years later. So I had an IUD, and apparently that's more common with that. I had hormonal IUD at the time too because I didn't know the difference. My doctor didn't explain to me the difference. Um, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, this is normal. And then listening to health and fitness podcasts, one of them was like, hey, yeah, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you're not healthy. And I was like, what? I didn't know that.
Aha moment.
Yeah, big aha moment. And I was still like chronically like over exercising and like probably under eating. Like I had gone, it was like, so COVID happened my senior year, 2020. And so like depression and like not seeing people, like I turned to exercise. And so I was still like working out 4 hours a day, like running, swimming, lifting, whatever, physical hiking, just something. Um, and then I overcorrected and like put on a bunch of weight. And then um reversed again, like under ate, like only clean whole foods thing, got really lean. Um, fasting, all the things. And that's when I heard like, oh, it's not healthy to have a menstrual cycle. And I was like, oh, well, clearly I'm not as healthy as I thought I was. And yeah, that's kind of when I was like, whoa, I need to get this thing out of me. And then also figure out like how to get it back. And it took a long time because I mean, exercising feels good when you're addicted to it. It's kind of like a drug. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
So talk to us about uh, what where how do I want to say this? Um During that time, you said clearly I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I looked great in the mirror. So I was like, oh, I'm healthy. I can go and run for hours. I can lift pretty strongly. I can swim for hours. And I equated like performance and how I looked in the mirror to health, which they are not.
Mm.
They're different things. Um,
But that's a
so
common belief, though,
yes.
right? Like, and I know because we're both coaches, I'm sure you run into the same thing I do is when a female or even a male comes to me is like, what do they want? Like, hi, you want to do coaching? Why do you want to do coaching? Right. And they're like, I want to look a certain way. Like, I want to look like I work out because I work out hard and I want to have muscle and I want, I want people to see the muscle, all those things. And it's that surface level, the kind of where we all start. And we forget that our body can be a reflection of how healthy we are over time, right? So if we just want to look a certain way, I mean, look at all the drugs that are out there now. If you just want to look a certain way, right? If you want to be a certain size, if you want to have a certain number on the scale, you can do that. You can lose the weight, you can, it can be fine. But the more less, I should say, the less common thing is to do what you did and you stopped and went, wait a second, I'm actually not healthy because, and that's a big thing. Like we were talking about, most women are like, cycles suck. Yes, we know. But the great thing about being a woman is you have this monthly thing that lets you know how healthy you are.
Yep.
And men don't have that. So then you kind of went on this journey to get your cycle back.
Yes.
How was
Yeah.
that?
That was tough. At the time, I discovered during COVID, social media was not good for me. So I did not use it. I didn't follow people. I didn't know about coaches or getting help, which is kind of funny now that I am one. But I had never considered it. So I listening to health and fitness podcasts that constantly reiterated the fact that you don't need to do that much to look good and feel good. You don't need to do hours of cardio every day. You don't need to undereat. And in fact, like doing less will probably give me better results. And just constantly listening to that in my head slowly over time, I was reducing my cardio, and then slowly went to just strength training and walking. And it was actually when I moved to Utah that I made that big switch. Um, but then I overdid it again and I like over like ate. And so I put on too much body fat. And so it was like kind of this ebb and flow kind of thing. Cause I was scared. I was like, oh crap, I don't have my menstrual cycle. I need to eat more. And I ate too much. And yeah.
I
So,
think though that's pretty okay. Let's talk about it. That's pretty common, right? We're just going to use
yeah.
those two words the whole time because you go from one extreme to the other because you're not sure where you're supposed to land in the middle, right? Because everybody is different. So to find that middle ground and that norm for you and for your body, you kind of have to go back and forth until you kind of get comfortable and find it. I was wondering as you were talking, and the reason I'm wondering this is because I was an anorexic and bulimic for 30 years of my life, maybe more. Anyway, um, and last year I went through a cut because I picked my bodybuilding show October 4th. It's in Salt
Ooh,
Lake City.
no way.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay, I'll
Um,
go. I'll be there.
but so last year I went through this big cut, and that was the first time that I had gone through a cut with a coach since I had been in recovery.
Wow.
Yes. And I was excited because I was like, oh, this is because I had put on weight on purpose for the first time before that. And I was uncomfortable. And I was like, this is going to be great because I'm a professional at this. Like, this is going to feel really good. But I remember as my weight went down, it started to remind me of how I felt when I was an anorexic. So when you started to talk about, I was doing all these things and how did your like once you came out of it, could you look back and tell us how your body felt when you didn't have a cycle, when you were exercising all the time? Did you notice a big difference once you came out of that?
So no, because I like I'm a type A, like cortisol junkie, so to speak. So for me, like that stressed feeling that you get, like that feels awesome. And I want to feel like that all the time. And I did because my stress was super high, which was why I didn't have a menstrual cycle. Probably like I think the IUD was like kind of the final straw that just kind of tipped it over the edge. But yeah, to me, it felt great. But then now that I look back on it, I was not a great person to be around. I was like very irritable, very rigid in my plan, and I was not flexible like at all.
Mm.
Um, my social life was terrible because I had to eat particular foods. I would have never gone to In-N-Out at that time. I
Shame.
know. I know. So terrible. So like physically, I guess in theory, like I felt good with the adrenaline, the cortisol, all that stuff, but like mentally, I was like probably the least healthy I've ever been.
So you were running on cortisol and adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you um did you notice a time other than that click of I should be having a cycle? Was there anything else that clued you in that you were like, "Oh shoot, I am not functioning very well"?
It was so it no, and that's the crazy thing
Wow.
because I know it was just the menstrual cycle thing, and I'm like, huh. And then once I heard that, then I started to look at other things, and I was like looking back now, like I mean, super unhealthy, like everything like the food that I ate or the particular times I ate or if something like didn't fit in that thing, I'd make up an excuse not to go
Mhm.
or I like wouldn't see friends and family because I wanted to eat my food or other things like that. Um, and so just like looking back, like not healthy. Don't
Mhm.
recommend doing that. But in the time, like I didn't see it. And that's why like if I had had a coach, it would have taken me way quicker to get my menstrual cycle back, to get that like third party kind of perspective on my life. And because now if I see someone who's in the same circumstance that I'm in, it's like it's obvious, it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
but at the time it was like, nope. And with COVID, the isolation, it was like I mean, I wasn't really seeing anybody anyway, just on a Zoom call.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. So now that you're a coach, it sounds like part of the reason you became a coach that you um kind of morphed into this different person is because you thought, okay, you know what? I didn't know what I didn't know. And I thought this was normal. And so you started to make the changes. Do you find that the thoughts and then what you thought was normal at that time, are you seeing that in a lot of people who come to you?
yes. Um, one of my clients, he he thought like not having a libido or having a very low libido was very normal and not having a lot of energy, needing naps every day. And now, he feels great and he has too much libido that he says he feels bad for his wife and he didn't realize. Yeah.
How does she feel? Did you talk to her? How does she feel?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. His mood has drastically, she said his mood has drastically improved. He's just much more enjoyable to be around. Um,
Okay, so pause. Let's back up. So what was he doing or not doing? Like what was he what were his actions that was leading to the low libido, the low mood, all of those things
type
that he
A,
thought was normal?
yes. So type A, he came to me just for weight loss and he was like, I've tried all these diets. Like he did CrossFit, like very extreme CrossFit, has a bunch of lower body injuries because of it. And he did like the paleo, the low carb, no carb, fasting, all the things.
Hmm.
Um, and he was doing like still kind of CrossFit-ish like high intensity workouts all the time. He wasn't prioritizing his sleep. He didn't have any stress management techniques in place. And he wasn't as no, like he didn't eat poorly, but he wasn't like as I can't think of the word, like deliberate, I guess, deliberate in his what he ate and making sure he had like mostly whole food choices, high protein, high fiber kind of foods available. And so just implementing a lot of the basics helped resolve a lot of that. He did go, so he was hypogonadal, like his testosterone was like in the floor, like under 200. So he went on hormone replacement.
I have to
Um,
pause you right there. Did the doctor go, oh yeah, that's low? Or did the doctor go, you're fine?
oh yeah, that's low. Because this is the
Oh,
doctor that I
good.
send people to that does
Okay.
hormone replacement. But
Okay,
if
good.
you're under like 40, I won't send you there because she's just always gonna say hormone replacement. So
Oh, sure. Yeah. But you bring up a good point though, particularly for the men who are listening, but women need testosterone too. Let's not kid about that.
yes, yes.
But if you're under 40 and you're a male, you want to do other things. Like you want to exhaust all those other avenues before you jump into TRT for
And
sure.
we
Yeah.
did do those things, and that's when he got the blood work.
Okay.
After we started just pure strength training routine, not super intense, long rest periods, prioritizing protein and fiber. We actually his calories were really low, and so I like slowly increased them over time with the strength training.
And he lost weight.
He lost inches, and he actually now he's eating more like 500 calories more a day than he was before, and he dropped like 10 pounds in the past couple weeks. But we've been working together for like probably like 3.5 months now.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that it? So going back to what's common and what's normal, people think it's normal. Like everything he was doing was super normal. This is just what we do. This is what you do. And if you do that, then everyone thinks, well, then I'm going to lose that 10 pounds or 15 or 20 or 30, whatever the hell it is. When in fact, you did the opposite because you saw that his body was stressed and he lost inches and he lost weight and he's eating more food.
Yes, a lot more food.
And how does he feel?
He feels awesome. He's like my star client. He always like talks about me to people. He's like, I talked about you today to my buddy. He's gonna come talk to you. I'm like, sweet,
See?
thank
There you go. But that's the interesting thing when we talk about what's normal and what's common. And I love that like you and I decided we would talk about that today because people interchange those words and you can't. Like they are two very different things. Normal in our society is very different, should be very different than what's common. And most people just go, oh, that's normal. When in fact, no, it's just common. So, do you want to talk a little bit about why that topic came up for you?
yeah. So well, air quotes normal is being fat, sick, and unhealthy. So um I just there's a lot of people in my life that say, "Oh, I'm aging, it's normal. I have these like autoimmune conditions. There's nothing I can do." Yet they don't do the basic shit. Like they don't get sleep, they don't eat nutrient dense foods, they don't exercise, they sit on their butts most of the time. And it's like, yes, the general population is overweight, and most people now have some type of autoimmune condition or some other mental health thing, like ADHD has like drastically increased, and autism and a bunch of other things. And it's not normal. It's common because of the environments that we live in and the things that people tend to gravitate towards, like the quick fixes, the dopamine hits, like TikTok and fast food, and you know.
Not in and out though. We're leaving in and out
Now,
of that. No,
yes, in
in and
and
out.
out doesn't count.
Right, doesn't count. But that too, though, right? So common things are what the majority of people are doing. That's very common, right? Like you said, sitting on your butt, not exercising. And it's not like we had in and out once, right? Like you're not in and out every day or mixing up the fast food joints, every day, trying to
No.
spread the wealth. But that's really common. And when we do common things, we become common people, right? And common people, if you look at our society, like you said, how did you say that again? It was fantastic. You used like three different things:
Oh, fat, sick, and unhealthy.
fat, sick,
Or
and unhealthy.
yeah.
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 And and then people are like, yeah, but I'm not common. I'm special. I don't know how often you hear that. Not with those words though, right? Everybody's a
Yeah.
unicorn. No, right? How many times you hear, well, I tried everything and it's just me. It's like, it's not just you. You didn't try the right things that are going to work for you. And so when I hear that there's so many different definitions of the word common, it's like if you take that word and you say, call someone common, like you're just common. You're just, people don't like that because they want to be special. And it's like, well, if you want to be special, what do you need to do? Strength train, get your sleep, drink your water, right? Eat nutrient dense foods and go for walks. Do those things. And then you're a unicorn.
Yep.
Then you're part of the 1% who is not common.
Yep. And I
Yeah.
wish it was the other way. I wish like 99% of people were like what normal should be, but yeah. And
Mm.
it's the basic stuff usually for most people. But the medical industry doesn't make money off of that. So, uh,
No, they can't write a prescription for that, right? The pharmaceutical companies don't have a pill you can take for that. Yeah. It keeps us in business though,
that's true.
right?
That's I wish like I mean, I wish this wasn't a job. I mean, not no, because I do love to do it. I love to help people, but like the fact that there are so many coaches out there, like we just went to a conference with like a bunch of awesome coaches, and I know so many coaches, but there's so many of us because so many people need our help.
I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing to think about. And I think I too came into this business. It's not really, like you said, it doesn't feel like a business though, because I'm just out here helping people. And the reason is similar to yours, right? Like I went through decades of trying to do what everyone said you should do. And this will help you, and this will make you feel better, and this will get you where you want to be. When in fact, I was doing all the things that wasn't getting me. I mean, oh my God, I wasn't doing things at all that made me healthy, that got me. I think I'm going to do an Instagram reel, like to all the 20 somethings out there, go to the gym, lift heavy weights, because all you ladies out there, right? Am I right? Y'all
Yes.
want to look like you have muscles and y'all want to look built. Well, you can't have muscles unless you have muscles, right? And
Yep.
do, doing like right, like I did the same thing. Hours of cardio, never going to give you muscles. It's never going to make you look the way you want to look. It's just going to drive your thyroid into the ground, and you'll have to nap, like you were talking about, like, right, napping every day, being exhausted.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's very common, right? It's very common. That's what people do, and they think that's the way to do it, but we as coaches know that's going to get you exactly the opposite of what you want, for sure. So how long have you been coaching?
So it'll be 2 years in July, which is kind of crazy. I started pretty like slow go, like just some buddies and friends, and then I was like, whoa, I like this. And then I started to kind of pick it up and try to move out of my terrible 9 to 5.
So if you had one thing to tell people today to take away from this, and that one action step they could take today that's going to help them feel better tomorrow, what would it be?
Lift weights and eat to get strong. So I think like a lot of the people, even men, like that are trying to lose weight, it's like 1,500 calorie diets, 1,200 calorie diets. And I'm like, if you want to look like a very sick, flabby, like skinny, fat person, sure, do that. But most people want to look kind of toned or muscular. And so to do that, you actually need to eat food and lift weights and get strong.
I tell you what, as a female, and I'm 5, what, 6, 5, 7, and I'm in like early 50s, When I'm in a cut, I'm at 1,500 calories. In a cut, losing weight. No man should do that. That's too low. I mean, unless you're going to get on stage, that's different. But
Yeah, but that's
yeah,
not for health. Like,
right. That's none of that is healthy at
mm-mm.
all. None of that is healthy at all. So, I think it's interesting the way that you said that. You said, get strong and eat your food as because you want to be strong. And I think that brings in that last piece of the puzzle, which really is the mindset shift that has to happen, right? Food isn't inherently bad. Like when I work with my clients, I'm always like, no, no, we don't talk about food as good or bad. We don't do that. Because then if it's good or bad, then if we put it in our bodies, that means we're good or bad. We don't do that. That's not what it is. It's just food. Is it a food that's going to get us to our goals? That's a better question. And I love how you said that because you really have to think about, are you feeding yourself and nourishing your body to get strong and to hit the goals that you want to hit? That I think it is harder than changing your actions, is to change your mindset
Yeah.
about what you're doing.
But it's the hardest thing, but that's what's gonna get you there, unfortunately. It's because it's like you have to shift your identity essentially. Like it's but that's how you maintain and sustain those results. So
Mhm. Yeah. And it's true, right? Nobody wants to be common. Everybody wants to be part of the 1%. So shift that. And it's a shift of identity. It's like, I am not the person I was before. Parts of me are, and parts of me are not. And I'm better and I'm different. And I take care of myself in a better way. And I'm not common, right?
yep.
Love it. Okay. So tell us, what's the name of your company?
Fit habit coaching.
Fit Habit Coaching. Do you have a website?
Yes,
Okay. I will link that in the show notes. Do you have a podcast?
I do.
And
It's
is
called
it
the Fit Habit Life
the
podcast.
Fit Habit Life? I love that. Fit Habit Life podcast. Love that. Hopefully, I get to come on. Just saying.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
and how can people get a hold of you?
Instagram's probably the best way. So my Instagram is at fit.habit.emma.
Okay,
And yeah, if you DM me on there, if you have questions, be ha more than happy to answer. I have a link in my bio with a bunch of free resources and other things. And I have an email list, so if you want to be on that, you just DM me and I can sign you up.
fantastic, awesome. Emma, it was great to meet you today. I know that even seriously, just hearing your story, it is so it is something that is so prevalent in our society that people just don't know. And we can't feel bad about ourselves for not knowing until we know. And then when you knew, wow, you changed everything and you've turned your whole life around. And that's really, really exciting. And I know that this podcast is going to change a lot of people's lives in a lot of ways that they think about themselves and their daily actions and their daily habits and their daily thoughts. So I appreciate having you on today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was super awesome to be
You
on.
bet. And hopefully you'll come back
Yes, yeah, I'd love to.
for
And you
sure.
have to be on mine now.
I
So
will. And I'll come down and get some In-N-Out burger. How about that?
that sounds great.